Hi, everyone. On Crushing Doubt, I wanted to give everyone a chance to have a voice and for us all to hear the inspiring stories of recovery people have experienced. In this interview, we'll hear from Pat, who, much to her own surprise, got significant and rapid relief just from reading one of my PDFs. Hear her story now. Hi, Pat. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really, it's exciting to have you here. I can't wait to hear what your story was like. So let's get started. Tell me how you discovered me in the first place.
Well, I subscribed to Curable and watched their videos, and you were on one of the videos, and what you said really resonated with me. And I emailed you and said, you're terrific, you're wonderful, et cetera, et cetera. And then you sent me an email with your PDF. And I read your PDF. I knew I had mind-body syndrome, knew that. I'm absolutely positively sure I had that. But I could never figure out why I couldn't find the reason. Repressed emotions, I've gone over emotions and emotions and emotions, and nothing popped. And I tried writing, which was a bust. That didn't work for me. I've done all the other things. I've done acupuncture and I've done, all the stuff. So you sent me your PDF and I read it. And as I am reading through it, you had a section where you talked about different things and different ways things you can think about things. And after I read that section, it hit me like a bolt of lightning what I was repressing and what was the emotion. And it was like truly a bolt of lightning. It was like the pain left. I got up, I walked around, I did some things. I'd been using a walker for several months since February, and this was August. And I have not used the walker since.
Oh
And
my God.
I'm telling you, it was absolutely amazing.
Well, this is one of the reasons that I was so excited to have you on, is that you're one of these very rare cases where you and I, this is our first time interacting today
Correct.
in any real way. We emailed,
Right.
I tried to be very warm and encouraging in my emails, but it was pretty amazing even to me that a very powerful indication of the kind of work that I do, that the information itself can change you so much. I
Absolutely.
sent you a PDF and you read it. This PDF is, I think, 12 pages long. So, and you had been trying to access this information. Do you have any idea what it was in that PDF that made that happen? I have some ideas, but I want to hear from you.
No, I mean, I know the section of the PDF that I read, and it was just weird. It was just
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, and this was something that I thought I had dealt with. I thought it was finished, done, and I was over it.
And
And
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
no, it's just going to say, obviously, I wasn't over it.
Right. Well, and that's a theme that comes up for a lot of people. They think, well, I've done everything. I must have gotten to it, and you had put in the work, well, clearly. I think what you're talking about though is the section where I talk about the types of issues that can lead to
Exactly.
things,
Exactly.
and that's part of what I wanted to say is that the information that I give is often a little bit of a primer. It just gets you thinking in the right ballpark. And it seems like that's what happened. So I know, this is delicate information. You may or may not want to share certain things. You share whatever you want. But can you tell us a little bit about what kind of revelation it was and then what happened in your body because of it?
Well, the revelation was my sister-in-law passed away. It was a fairly traumatic experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, it was, gosh, April of 19, I think. It was April of 19 when she passed away. And I, had gone through the grieving. I thought I had resolved everything. And when I read that particular section of your PDF, and truly, she hadn't even been on my mind. And suddenly her name popped into my head. And it, like I said, it was a miracle for me.
It is pretty incredible. I mean, I think both you and I are trying to figure out what exactly did happen there. Now, my information is very powerful, but something about our interaction or your interaction with the PDF freed you up to, I don't know if it was to believe that something different could happen but it's so interesting. Either
Well,
way.
it was
Yeah.
like it, and I hadn't been thinking about her. I hadn't, I was just reading the PDF. I wasn't doing anything other than reading the PDF. And suddenly,
Right.
boom.
Do you
And
remember what kind of themes I said in there? Was there anything that jogged something? I know there's one part of it that's like about important relationships. I don't know if that's the one that made it
I don't know.
cut.
It's the whole section you have. It must be on page 8 or 9 somewhere where you list all the different things that have an effect or can have an effect that you need to think about.
Right.
And when her name popped into my head and I was in the living room all by myself reading your PDF, and suddenly I'm saying, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And it was, like I said, the pain left, and I was able to do things, and I'm still able to do things. I mean, I was to the point where cooking was nigh on to impossible. Thank God I have a fantastic husband. And I mean, I can cook and I can do this. I don't vacuum though. I don't do that.
Oh, well, I mean, that would be asking too much.
Absolutely. But
Pat, how long did you have this pain before you contacted me?
well, that's another weird thing. It started in May of 18, woke up with horrific leg pain. Went to sleep fine, woke up with horrific pain. Went to the doctor. He said, I had a pinched nerve. Okay. Took pills, of course. The pain then went to my back. By September, I was having surgery on my back, and they fused L4 and L5 and did a decompression. Recovered, but the pain didn't go away. And the pain got progressively worse. As I said, I was using a walker, and there was no reason for it. I mean, I absolutely knew my body was healed. That was not a problem. I just didn't understand why I had the pain. And then my daughter's friend went to a lecture and said, oh, send this information to your mother. Then I started really delving into the mind body and reading everything I could get my hands on. Now, I have not read Sarno, but I certainly had heard all about him from everybody who's in the profession you're in.
Sure.
And
what was the lecture that you were
I wasn't, she
directed
was.
to? Oh, she was. Okay. And
She
what,
was.
do you know who it
And
was?
I
The great thing
no,
is it doesn't matter. You need the
right,
information wherever you get it.
right. And
Hmm.
thank God for her, because had she not told, I would have never known. I would have suffered the rest of my life and been an invalid.
That's the amazing thing is these things, and the same thing happened to me. I had 8 years of back pain suffering, and no one seemed to know about Sarno or any of it. And I wasn't getting answers, and I wasn't getting better. And one person mentioned it, happened to be a chiropractor, who was a great chiropractor, but I wasn't getting all the way better, even remotely. And he mentioned it, and it set me on a path. But I do want to ask you a question about something that I think it is important as we try to unlock what led to this profound change for you. I'm so glad to hear that it's still the case. And I hope you haven't had to vacuum, but it sounds like you've managed to avoid that, which is great. But I think that one of the things I wonder about is what is the change agent? And you may not know yet, and maybe something that we have to explore a little bit, but sometimes it is the person that you're working with, something about them, and obviously you didn't get to meet with me directly, but you knew that you were interacting with somebody from that podcast. I don't know, was there anything about the way I was in that podcast that gave you confidence about it or changed your
I think it was just your
mindset?
attitude. You you're very open, and it was your story said, he's been there. He knows what it's all about. And look at him today.
Yeah, that's a big part of why, and I understand why people would trust me for that. I would have felt the same way. I'm somebody who's really been through it. And once I got over my pain, I do have, I have flare-ups from time to time or symptoms that I need to interpret. I often make symptoms go away in seconds. And this is something we can work on, Pat, if you would like to. You let me know. We can work on getting you better and better and better in this because it's a process. I mean, we got this like amazing lightning bolt of healing. And it's not like we healed your body. This is actually proof of something that I talk about all the time, that these symptoms are a moment to moment experience, even if you've had them chronically for years. This shows it. I mean, we can't say this necessarily what happened for everybody, but for many, many people, the symptoms can change quickly. And you found it. And it sounds like it was pretty astounding to you.
Astounding is quite the word. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the other interesting thing is, people now, when I'm out and about, say, "Oh, you look so different. You don't look like you're in pain. You look like you used to look." So,
Yeah.
and that's a big thing.
Well, and this is part of why I do this work. It's so rewarding for me to know that, I mean, first of all, I give people what I wished I had gotten when I was in that experience. And it was about organizing the information. One of the reasons I wrote the PDF in the first place, and I'm in the process of writing my book. It's almost done. I've been saying that for a while, but I promise it will be done soon. One of the reasons I wrote this PDF out is that I knew people need the information, and that was all the information I had gathered for myself. I had gotten it from multiple sources, or sometimes even from myself, but it's such a pleasure to hear what an impact it had on you. And I do want to encourage you, you can keep getting better with more information. You got the PDF, but my book has even more information in it. So I'm going to get that to you as soon as I get it written fully. But it's just really, it's so exciting. And I think you make a really good point. People see the difference in you because you aren't in as much pain. I mean, there's nothing you could have done about it. When you're in that kind of pain, it changes the way you are
It changes
physically.
everything. It changes everything. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, I hope and pray that other people who read your PDF have the same results that I had. Because as I said, I worked and worked and worked and said, "Oh, repressed emotions. Gosh, I can't think of anything. What?
Yeah.
Nothing in life is that terrible that I can go back and say, oh, okay, I can put a finger here or there, but I couldn't.
Well, I did want to say also, it's the specificity of what you came to is very important. A lot of times people are looking in the general areas and they're coming up empty, just like you were. Can you, though, take us through just a little bit before we wrap up here, Pat? You said it was leg pain and then back pain, and you were walking with a walker. And what level of pain would you describe it as? Like, 0 to 10. Obviously it wasn't 0, but what was?
Oh, I was 10. There was it, and this is after surgery. This is after I'm healed. When I first came home after surgery, in the first month or two, I could still pretty much do what I needed to do around the house. But as time went on, the pain got worse, and I did less and less and less. And that's when I got a walker and was using the walker, and have not used it since my aha moment.
Yeah. So you feel like you can move around pretty well now?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I still have some pain and still have, I guess, some work to do, but my life is so different.
Yeah. Well, what it shows is you can get a lot of the way there just with a little information. And Pat, I want to thank you for joining me and telling me this story. I was even overjoyed when you sent me the email back. I was like, yes, this is what I want. It's really a great feeling for me, and it's so rewarding to be able to do this. So thank you for sharing your story with me and all of my viewers and listeners. It's so wonderful that you've got your life back, and you and I can keep working on expanding that territory, which is often what happens afterwards. We'll expand more. But thank you for joining me, Pat. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you for my life.
It is an honor. This was one story that reminded me just how powerful the information I have to provide can be. Both Pat and I were struck by the fact that we didn't even have a direct interaction other than through email, and how the information alone changed her experience so dramatically. She is an example, though there are many ways of finding mind-body relief, of what happens when a specific emotional event is causing physical pain and what changes when that source is discovered. More importantly, she knew it. So she got the emotional insight and also the cognitive certainty that allowed her body to calm itself and her mind to feel more at peace. Each week, I'll bring you another story of the effort to recover and what we discover in that process. Stay tuned.